I was wondering if you have an opinion on the proposed Fairtax Act that would eliminate federal taxes, impose a national sales tax on new goods purchased, and eliminate the IRS as we know it. That's the perfect question for the two of us. I don't know two people that hate taxes more than me and Dave Ramsey. Well, I've always been a fan of this. In fact, I lived for years in Atlanta, and Neil Bortz, who was a well-known local talk radio guy, you're probably friends with Neil.
I know Neil well.
He was a big proponent of this and wrote a book on it.
Went on his show several times back in the day talking about this.
Yeah, and
he had a book,
like
best-selling book on it.
Best-selling book on this very issue. And I'm not going to endorse the book, nor am I going to endorse the policy, but I like the direction that it's heading, and I'll tell you why. I think a sales tax, it forces the consumer to kind of deal with it, and it's not the federal government mandating what is taken from my income. I like the flat tax idea, which is really the guts of what Neil Bortz was kind of proposing, and that's everybody pays the same tax rate. There's this cultural divide now that the media and a lot of people on the left have created, this fairness doctrine that the person who makes more should have to pay a higher percentage. And it's become this virtuous idea. And in all reality, if you look at the actual data, now, folks, some of you are going to get offended right now, and that's okay. But here's what I want you to do. While you're getting offended, I want you to actually go on this thing called Google, and I want you to do your own research. Be brave enough to research what I'm saying, because here's what you'll find. Most people in America, in fact, it's right below 50%, I believe.
It's now 51%.
51%, Dave corrects me, don't pay any federal income tax. And yet we're going after...
And wait a minute, and let's go a step further.
Yeah, sure.
And a large number of that group not only don't pay, they receive.
That's correct.
The unearned income tax credit.
That's right.
Meaning they get money back from the government. It's not back from the government because they never gave it to them in the first place.
It's an entitlement.
It's they are given.
That's right.
Their lives are subsidized, and you're not evil if that's you. Okay, we're not mad at you about that. That's the system that's in place. But 51% of Americans pay absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So this idea
in the federal income tax program, that's not fair.
That's right. So then they say not only that's happening, but now they want to have people who are wealthy who help create jobs. By the way, who help create enough tax income for all of the entitlements that those 51% get. You want to put more burden on those folks. So I love the flat tax that is kind of...
the fair tax is a sales tax. It's
exactly.
not the flat tax.
I know, but I love the actual flat tax on an income tax because I think that is truly equitable, and everybody now is paying the same amount. And so, I'm a fan of that.
The actual Fairtax Act is not up for vote. It's
that
not.
Is
so,
correct.
Jonathan, I don't know where you got this. That it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not even close to happening. It's a discussion to try to get people jacked up, and it's been going on for 20 plus years. That book is worth reading because the biggest gripe that people have mathematically, and it's a fair argument, is that under a fair tax, an ad valorem tax, a national sales tax, and no income tax at all, then you would need to, for it to be correct, for it to be equitable, not fair, for it to be equitable. And Bortz's proposal, the actual fair tax people are proposing this, you would have exemptions on things like food.
Yep.
Because if you make $30,000 a year and you pay sales tax on everything you buy, you end up paying a larger percentage of your income in taxes than, say, I would. And that's not equitable.
Correct.
Okay? I wouldn't want a single mom making $20,000 to have a higher tax rate than I do.
Yeah.
That's not right. And so you have to have some exemptions in there on income and on types of purchases to make the thing start to have some more equity to it. But the beauty of it is you consume, you choose.
That's correct.
Now, in the state of Tennessee, this is actually what we have. We have a moderately to high sales tax, 9.75%, about 10%, okay, is our sales tax in the state of Tennessee. And we have zero income tax. And our economy is booming.
Yes. Yeehaw.
Because people come here like crazy that are producing things like jobs and businesses. And they come here, they're moving in here. Same thing with Texas, same thing with Florida, the states that don't have an income tax have prospered inordinately. Art Laffer has written a lot about this.
That's right.
And so it's a very interesting discussion. Now, you can get all pissed off and lefty or righty about it one way or the other if you want, but that's, you probably ought to just listen to one of those political shows to do all that stuff. That's not political. This is math.
Right.
Okay? It is not equitable, not fair, for people to pay absolutely zero.
That's correct.
Whether they're rich or whether they're poor. And 51% of Americans pay zero income tax at the federal level. Zero. None. That's a half of you. And it kind of describes why the voting falls where it does. The voting falls about that way, okay, on national elections. And so, you're right. It has been trumped up by the That's bad phrasing.
Yes, right.
It's been pushed by the media because they can sell hate.
That's correct.
And make the poor people hate the rich people hate the poor people.
Yep.
All this kind of stuff. This class division thing, and if we can create division and keep people angry, they'll keep watching our news channel, and that's not a good plan. So, I've spent a lot of time. Back 20 years ago, I was on board the show several times. We discussed this. It was a very interesting discussion.
Yeah, it's well thought out.
It's a good intellectual exercise. But, Jonathan, here's the truth. It's not going to happen.
That's the other side of it.
Okay? Yep. You're not going to get a fair tax, a national sales tax, to do away with the IRS. Your lips to God's ears that the IRS went away. But they're not going. There's too much going on here. I mean, here's the thing. You put the income tax business out of business, you're talking about H&R Block, TurboTax are gone.
Gone. Oh, yeah.
Just poof.
Well, all the entitlements.
They have nothing to do.
All those government agencies.
You think they're going to be for this?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. The entire establishment will never allow this to happen. The people could make it happen, but outside of that, that's a whole different show.
Yeah, you'd have to just fire everybody's butt that's up
show.
there, which really would be a great idea.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It would be. But, it's interesting, because when you start looking at this, you got to understand, too, that we hear inflation in the news every day. Let's talk about one of the most hot button issues in America right now is inflation. But here's the deal. If the people of America en masse, let's say they got a hold of what we teach here on the Ramsey Show, and they all started budgeting, and they went to the envelope system, they used those wallets, and they did everything the way we teach, and they said, you know what, we're going to severely cut back on all of our excess spending. Okay, 4 walls, that's it. Watch how prices would come down, Dave, because these Target and Walmart, they'd all go, wait a second.
If Ramsey met the minimalists, and I can't even say it, minimalists in the marketplace, and all of America adopted.
For 90 days, Dave. I think 90 days is all
it'd be like putting people on strike.
Yeah, and then watch prices come down. It would
shut the freaking place down. Yeah, you'd get some bozos attention.
Yeah,
I got to tell you. Bezos attention.
It would put some dent in the inflation, but we spend like drunken sailors as Americans. Credit cards at an all-time high.
Sailors get a bad reputation. Drunken congressmen.
That's a fair point.
They spend a lot more.
That's true. Sorry, sailors.
Don't be messing with our sailors.
Both my grandfathers were in the Navy. I should stipulate.
It is a great old saying, and it was more stereotypically true in the old days. But yeah, there we go. Oh, so Jonathan, sorry. It's a good thing to give us a little soapbox on here, but appreciate you asking the question. Not going to happen. Wouldn't make any of us mad if something like this or something moved this direction where everybody ought to put something in the. Everybody ought to put something in the pot. You ought to pay your military.
That's right.
You ought to pay for your interstate you're driving on. Everybody ought to put something in. This is The Ramsey Show.